Hi, I'm Peter Haddock and we're here at CONEXPO and I've got the biggest construction table I've ever seen in my entire life behind me, and I've found a gentleman called Hoppy and he is from Hexagon. Now most people don't know who Hexagon is. Basically it's a company that lives in America and they own a brand that most people do know in the construction industry called Leica Geosystems. Now Hoppy, what on earth is this table doing in the middle of CONEXPO?
Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Actually, that table is an exact reproduction of an actual site from the other side of the United States. It's a site that one of our customers built in Florida, in the north of Florida. This, once it's finished, is going to be a multi-home residential area.
Yeah.
And the customer gave us a chance in terms of, as they went from planning all the way to building, to then validating and doing the as-built, leverage our entire portfolio of technologies.
Right, so what you're saying to me, hold on a minute there. Right, folks, this is a bit strange because I've talked about connected site for a long, long time. What you're going to be telling me is this is going to go from where I see my process, demolition to demolition. This is the start of a site. You've surveyed it, you've gone all the way with machine control, you've collected that data, you're going to be giving it to the customer, and then we're going to go all the way around that cycle. If it's demolished again, it's going to be digital. This is the digital connected site
This is
in action.
It is. It's too big to carry it home.
Yeah.
Unless you download it on your phone.
Or your tablet.
Or you have it here on your tablet. And it starts from this gentleman here,
yeah,
all the way to the gentleman over there and all the machines in between.
So you've got the surveyor right here.
We have
all
the surveyor.
All these machines that are using machine control. Drill rigs, dozers, excavators, all the way through to the main steel construction, which is part of the 3D model anyway. Yeah. Then we're building that up. We've got everything. The utilities are underground. We've surveyed them. We've got all the data of them. And then that's going to have a beautiful life and then be knocked down. And then the next structure that goes on top of it, they're going to go exactly where all the stuff is, aren't they?
It's all going to be captured all the way through.
Yeah.
This site is point clouded to the cahoots. You can, it's been a beautiful project. It's been a beautiful project for the team.
Yeah.
And it's been a beautiful project obviously for a customer.
Yeah.
And it's been very exciting, obviously, me being in the marketing side to really come together.
Yeah, exactly.
And because this can be a complex story.
Yeah, of course.
So these are lots of different technologies and point clouds and real clouds and data clouds and
You've
rain
gone
clouds.
already over the top of everybody's head with
there you go.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, well, now as technology has become more accessible, not just financially, but more accessible in terms of, it fits on an iPad, everybody can use it. And we said, okay, how do we bring this across? And so we sat down with the team and said, you know what? Let's just build it. Let's just build it the way it happens.
If you build it, they will come. Somebody made a film about that somewhere.
There you go. And so we built it. We built the site. We 3D printed all of the little people on here and the machines. We built a multiple digital twins here on this iPad. So you can see the point clouds, you can see the various zones, and then every station, which I hope we have a chance to see later on.
We'll go and see the stations in a minute.
The data of this site is the same data we're going to have at every single station. So
right,
so
hold on a minute. So
yes.
What we're talking about here, people, is this is the connected site. This is the full connected site. But what we've got to recognise, and we all know, and what you're saying now, is we've got to recognise that different people play a different role. That surveyor there plays a different role. They're just focused on that. That digger driver is focused on digging. That dozer driver is focused on dozing. They don't care about the other jobs on the site. They don't care about the model and this, that, and the other, because they are interested in their separate section. But what we're doing here is showing people it's all brought together with Leica and Hexagon and in the States, solutions.
That's the way it is,
Yeah.
And I think, if the future of construction is to be more collaborative,
yes.
If the future of construction is to be more efficient, you can't do this if you get people closer together through technology, rather than having technology that separates everybody.
Right, so I'm going to ask you an important question, and this is what most people are talking to me about. Right, so all of this data, all of this technology, but is it open source? Can people access it properly? Are you saying to me that this is all accessible data and Is that right? Can that happen?
You know what? I'm glad you bring this up.
Right.
You build sensors to integrate them into systems so people can do what they're supposed to do as part of a larger system. That means we are open standard from birth because we always integrate into something being a sensor company. So as we look at our various applications that capture data, as we look at our various devices that distribute data, as we look at our softwares that aggregate, analyze, and make that data work for you, they are probably as open source as it gets in the industry.
Right, so what we've got here, people in the world of construction, we all know that we've got a 3D model, we create the structures, we think about the structures, but we need the data to be accessible. Not just accessible from, say, the surveyor to the operator, but the whole client. So as built, or as we go through the project. So the dozer driver can see if they've got to go and do another pass. So the smart compaction unit can do that. So the surveyor can say, actually, we need to rejig this because we've used too much earth in these areas, and the sites change, yeah? So all of this is accessible in real time, and all of this is accessible so that those changes can be made, so that we dig once and we move the earth well, so that we deliver that building and structure more productively, faster, and with a model that can be going with it for the rest of its life, yeah?
It's that. But Peter, it's not just across the various people and stages.
Okay.
It's also across the various technologies that are on the site. You know, let's be honest, a lot of our customers, you know, they have made investments in various other brands in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that can be different manufacturers of machines, that can be different manufacturers of surveying technology, or even software. So what we strive is that, you know, you don't need to buy the whole thing from us to get benefits out of these certain areas. That's where the open standards come in.
Yep.
That's where the accessibility and integration through the cloud comes in.
Yep.
So the data is available to everybody on the side. And then, as you said before, maybe even for the next generation when you have to dig it back up and know what did they put in here.
Right, I'm a great believer in sustainability, folks, and I'm a great believer in carbon reduction, and I think that is critical to me. We've got to stop building things where then we have to rip up the utilities that are already there. We have to be smarter in the way we're building our buildings or structures for the future so that we can recycle them. I mean, look at that model. If you've got it all there, we know how far we've got to go down to rip out the different surfaces, for example, on a road. So therefore, we can recycle that much more efficiently.
No, I mean, what you obviously want to do is you want to keep track of everything you put on the ground. And so now what we have is the technologies to kind of, you know, document this fairly easily, create a point cloud, put it away. So when 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you know, whenever, you want to come back and say, you know, what did they put in there?
Yep.
You know, is it waste?
Yep.
Is it reusable?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
it's there,
Yeah,
you know, and you know, obviously all of the material that goes into a site is valuable, right? And it should last for generations.
Now, what's really important about this, folks, is what we're doing with the connected site is we're using this technology, then we're saying, here is the 3D model, like we've said there. There is everything you need to know. So if there's a problem on a road project, for example, where we've got potholes coming in and all the rest of it, and that's that particular section, we can look at all that data and look at where there's wear and tear and think, actually, we need to do something about that. So we can then look at the layering and we can look at the structure of that particular area. It might have moved or whatever, but we get that back to the other area, can't we? So the maintenance elements of using digital is huge, isn't it?
It is definitely that. You know, there are, for whatever reasons, liability. You want to have your proper documentation. But also now you have a feedback loop actually to learn with your team. In terms of, look, this is the site we built like last week, last month, last year. And why was that different than what we do today? And so very often, you know, people get rushed from one project into the next, you know, when it's season, you got to go building. But now it's the end of a season and you can just pull it up and say, okay, how did we do this one? Oh, here's a site that is similar, but the equipment might be different. How can we get that done? And so you got this documented now. And I think it's another example how you can build a collaborative team in terms of, hey, we've all been on this side. Let's time capsule this all the way through and see what happens.
Now, and this is really about contractors, tier one contractors, recognizing the value of this data it being accessible, open source, so they can put it into their own system and their own capsule, as you call it. And then really is about how you learn from that information. How did we do it? What did we get wrong? How can we improve that? And how can we see that that impact is going to be better for, ultimately, the end client who owns the structure and who owns the building or the road, Highways England, HS2, whatever it may be. So this, folks, is the connected site in a real world environment. It's on a table, but it shows us just what we can achieve right now by taking individual technologies that Hexagon has brought and pulled together in an open source environment that works and that has actually been tested on a real site. So, to me, I didn't expect to see this coming here. I harp on about this all the time. It's a bit boring as a bit of a metronome scenario, but finally to see it actually in action from a live site is tremendous. So I just want to say a big thank you to you spending all this time with me, but this is important. And folks, this is coming. Get with it, get with the program, get these guys in, and let's literally get that connected site working end to end, demolition to demolition. Hobby, been a pleasure.
Same
See you
here.
later.